100,000 people have been evacuated in Kazakhstan due to floods, according to the country's emergency ministry. There are concerns floodwaters from Russia will flow into Kazakhstan from the Ural River. It's the worst flooding in decades in parts of the region. As we can see here from above, Russia's military has joined efforts to provide aid to residents cut off due to those floods.
На улице Сейфуллина в Коэнде подтоплено 10 домов. Жители не могут попасть в свои дома.
The spring of 2024 in Kazakhstan turned into an overwhelmingly dramatic disaster. Devastating floods affected thousands of people, leaving behind a trail of destruction. But this is not the first time the country has faced such a disaster. In this video, we take a look at the chronology of floods in Kazakhstan over the past 10 years, revealing the underlying and the ongoing fight of government against this recurring disaster. Let's go back in time and remember how it was 10 years ago. In March 2014, floods broke out in Akhmola, Kızılorda, and Karaganda regions. Hundreds of houses were flooded. This devastation left grief and destruction in its wake. There were also recorded cases of deaths. As a result, Boat Bekniyazov announced the construction of 30 reservoirs to collect flood waters. The situation was repeated in 2015, but with even more severe consequences. More than 50 settlements were flooded, 14 bridges were destroyed, and 1,700 cattle died. In response, a promise was made. 26 hydraulic structures will be built and repaired for a total of 11 billion tenge. In 2016, Akhmola, North Kazakhstan, Aktobe and Kostanay regions were flooded. The losses were huge. Thousands of people were in trouble, hundreds of houses were destroyed, and all this because of melted snow. A year later, the scene repeats itself. Dozens of settlements are submerged underwater in different regions of the country. More than 1,000 homes have simply been washed away by melted snow. In response, the government promises to build 22 reservoirs. But in 2018, everything is repeating. Torrential rains flood cities, shaking the lives of thousands of people. Accusations of inattention of officials and lack of technical means are getting louder and louder. In 2022, promises of building new reservoirs are heard again, but real actions do not follow the words. History repeats again and again. In 2023, disaster comes to various parts of the country. A state of emergency is declared, but what is done in reality? And so, year after year, the scenario remains unchanged. Floods caused by melting snow and ice are repeated again and again, and each time they are followed by promises of construction and reconstruction of reservoirs. And here we are, approaching 2024, in Kazakhstan, where flood waters have inundated more than 10 regions. Many social media users are posting videos and writing about heavy losses. The government says the dangerous situation remains. On April 1st, Kazakhstani President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev expressed his dissatisfaction with preparations for the flooding, which was the largest in 30 years. During a meeting with members of the government and other senior officials, Tokayev announced reprimands and warnings for several government members and akims for unprofessionalism and negligence. Tokayev also appointed a new deputy prime minister who will be responsible for regional policy, housing and utilities, emergencies and water sources. He appointed his advisor Khanat Buzumbayev to this position. Tokayev also apologized for the failed crisis management and made new promises of further government action to improve the situation and protect citizens. But suddenly, a resident of Kostanay picketed with a poster, "Flooding is a consequence of corruption." He expresses his disappointment that all of the promised reservoirs, none have been built. And he is right. If the plans had been implemented, many of the disasters we see today could have been prevented. Such stories about embezzlement of budget funds and delays in dam construction only emphasize the complexity of the situation. However, our protagonists are ordinary people who suffer the consequences of these bureaucratic mistakes. Floods and disasters in Kazakhstan have become not just a natural disaster, but a consequence of systemic problems. Every year, thousands of lives are threatened by inaction of the authorities. The question is not what should be done, but why it's not being done.